All right, welcome everybody. I was losing track of what I was doing there. Everybody come on in, take a seat. You can hear the sound of my voice, raise your hand just to make sure somebody can hear me. And some people can't. All right. There's a handout for those of you that are, looking for a handout. You can follow along. And I'm going to, wander around, talk about a bunch of different things. The purpose of this series is getting going in real estate, right? To put it as easy as I can. Here, let me just go. So when you get your real estate license, some of you have probably already figured out that a real estate license is, well, it's sort of like a fishing license, right? The license doesn't catch fish, which means that you're going to have to go fishing, right? You're going to have to talk to people, have conversations with people. It's the conversations we have that lead to appointments, and the appointments that lead to clients, and the clients that lead to closings, and the closings that lead to money and more business. And then we start all over again. Now, the topic of today, and we're going to be doing a series, but the topic of today was your sphere of influence. I know that's not what it says on the screen, but the database is your business is related to the concept of a sphere of influence, right? They're related. We're going to combine those two together. Now, let me make sure. There we go. Oh, it's actually moving. Is that right? Let's go. All right. So why are we talking about this? All right. This is from the 2021 profile of home buyers and sellers from the National Association of Realtors. And what they asked is buyers and sellers, how did you find your agent? Now, they're ranked based upon who got the most responses. So referred by or is a friend, neighbor, or relative, 47% of all buyers, 47% of all buyers, 57% of first-time buyers, and repeat buyers. Notice it's lower, and that's because they may already have known a real estate agent because they've bought before. But for almost 60% of first-time buyers and almost 50% of all buyers, referred by or is a friend, neighbor, or relative, right? That's about half the business right now. Now, use the agent previously to buy or sell a home was 13% of all buyers, not very much of first time, but a larger percent of repeat buyers. Working with past customers and clients is something else that we should talk about at some point. What about sellers? Again, the 2021 profile of home buyers and sellers, referred by or is a friend, neighbor, or relative. Notice the numbers are a lot less. Right? It's 39% of all sellers, but still almost half of first-time sellers. Repeat sellers, it's less, and that's because sellers oftentimes are being farmed. There's other people that are saying I'm the area specialist, that sort of thing. But take a look at these two figures together. 39% of all sellers was a friend, neighbor, relative, or referred by. 29% of all sellers said they knew the agent because the agent had previously worked with them, repeat clients. Now, when you add those all together, that's 70%. 70% of sellers were either repeat and referral, or they had, well, that's repeat and or referral. I guess I said that. One of the agents that I worked with at another elsewhere, right, not at EXP, Keller Williams is where it was. It's an agent that I had sponsored and mentored some years ago. And she just, I saw on Facebook's got an award for having the most listings in her office. I happen to know that her focus for the beginning, most of the time, was working with buyers, doing open houses and doing other things like that. Now, if you sell buyers' homes, this is a long-term way to get listings. If you sell buyers' homes and you do a good job and you follow up with them, when it comes time for them to sell the home, you could be their agent, right? Which is one of the organic ways of getting listings, right? So we're talking about sphere of influence because it's a significant percentage of buyers and sellers. So let's talk about, well, let's say you don't have a large one or you want to build one. Let's take a look at what could happen. Right. Let's say you made a commitment because you're in real estate and you're full time and you're just going to do it. Right. And so your commitment is that you're going to have 10 conversations a day on average with people that might be interested in buying, selling, or investing in real estate. Right. So if you talk to 10 people a day and you did that 5 days a week, that would be 50 people a week. By the way, a general rule of thumb that I use is that if you have 50 conversations, then you're likely to get an appointment, right? So if that were true, you would be getting an appointment a week. And about 25% of your appointments would convert into a closing. I'm just saying that's possible. So what that would mean is 10 people a day would be 50 a week, which could be an appointment a week, which could be 4 appointments a month or 1 transaction a month, which would be 12, which would not be bad. But let's just stick with this. So you made a goal. You're going to talk to 10 people a day, 5 days a week. That's 50 a week. 4 weeks in a month, it's 200 a month. If you do it for 12 months, you've talked to 2,400 contacts. Now, one of the important parts of this is getting them into a database and following up. We know from research of agents that are in production that about 70% of the business comes not from the initial contact, but from following up with people. Now, if you're looking at people moving once every 15 years, and by the way, that number would be higher or lower depending upon the type of neighborhood. Condos, townhomes have a much quicker turnover rate, luxury homes, a much lower turnover rate, but that would be 160 transactions. If you talk to 2,400 people and 1 out of 15 of them were buying or selling or investing, that would be 160 potential transactions. And let's say you're not particularly good at this, and that 90% of the people that you've had conversations with and that you follow up with will not use you as an agent. That's still 16 transactions. Still 16 transactions. Now, one question to ask yourself is, where are you now? Right? And so do you have, SOI is a sphere of influence database. Do you have a database? Well, you've got a cell phone, right? You probably have email, right? In the email, you can export contacts. So the question is if you were really to analyze how many people are in your cell phone and how many people are in your contacts for your email and all of that, you might come up with a number. Right. And what I would recommend that you do is to find out, if you do not know, what that number is. And by the way, when you have that number, we're going to be looking at who's in it. Now, if you're really doing a good job, right, in terms of working your database, it's possible to get a transaction for 1 transaction for every 10 people in your database. That doesn't mean that 10% of your database necessarily is going to buy, sell, or invest. Right, but they also could refer somebody to you. So that if you accept that as a possibility, and we'll talk about how to get there, if you accept that as a possibility, what number would you like? Right? What number would you need in order for you to reach where you want to be? So an example of how you might create a goal, your goal would be to generate a 10% return and to grow it by 250 people over the next 12 months. Right? Now, that's a lot less numbers than we were talking about, but that would be an example. So this is the gap analysis. What is your goal? Right? Now, just to give you an idea, usually people need between 400 and 600 people in the database before they're really starting to take off. And agents that are big producers oftentimes have thousands because they keep adding people. We'll talk about how to do that. But if you have a goal, and you wrote that in the top right box, and then you subtracted the current number because you're going to take the time to figure out how many people are really in your database. And then you're going to end up with the people that you're going to need to add, right? And then if you divided that by 12, you would have a monthly goal. You'd have a monthly goal. Now you might be thinking, I just don't have, this sounds like too time consuming. This is just too time consuming. I don't have time for that. I'm a busy real estate agent. Right? So let me ask you this. Are you a full-time real estate agent? But full-time, do you have 40 hours a week that you're willing to invest in real estate? Let's just start with that. And if you're not busy, right, and I assume you're not all that busy because you've spent the time to, listen to me talk about this, right? If you were really busy, you wouldn't have time to listen to me talk about this because you'd be busy. But let's say you're not really busy, right? You don't have a lot of pending transactions, right? You may not have any pending transactions. Would it not be fair as a goal for you to devote 80% of your time to getting transactions, right? If you don't have any, you don't have clients, if you're not showing property, you don't have listing appointments, right? Why not spend 80% of your 40 hours doing the one thing that you could do that would increase your business, which is having conversations with people about real estate? That's the thing that you could do. Well, if you're working 40 hours a week and you're willing to put 80% of your time towards generating business, that's 32 hours a week. And if you only were working 5 days a week on average, that would be 6.4 hours a day. How much time do you spend prospecting? Now, I know what some of you are thinking. If I wanted to work 40 hours a week, I wouldn't be in real estate, right? That sounds like a job, right? I don't want a job. I want to be an independent contractor. I want to be creative. I want to be a free spirit. I want to do what I can do. Right? Plus, I have a family. I might even have other things that I need to do, other jobs. So let's assume you got 20 hours, right? Every week you have 20 hours that you're willing to devote to real estate. Well, if you had an 80% focus of those 20 hours on generating business, having conversations about buying, selling, or investing in real estate, if you were to do that, that would be 16 hours a week, which if you divide that by 5 working days is 3.2 hours a day. And just to be generous, we could round it down to 3 hours a day. Isn't that generous? Right now, if you spend 3 hours a day having conversations with people about buying, selling, or investing in real estate, how many conversations could you have? And the answer actually is about 20. 3 hours, you could have 20 conversations. And if you were having 20 conversations a day, 5 days a week, you'd be doing real estate business. All right. I know that just sounds terrible. 20 hours, 20 people a day, 3 hours a day. That just sounds, oh man, that's just too much. How about this? An hour a day, right? Could you do that? Could you devote an hour a day? Oh, all right. 30 minutes. How about that? 30 minutes. Let's lower the bar. Let's say you're going to start off talking to 2 people a day. 2, right? That's all we ask. 2 people a day. And you're going to do that 5 days a week. And you're going to devote 30 minutes a day. Anybody could find 30 minutes where they could talk to 2 people a day. Now, if you talk to 2 people a day and you did that 5 days a week, that would be 10 people a week, and roughly 4 weeks in a month, that would be 40 people a month. And if you did that for 12 months, that would be, I don't know, 480 people. 480. Could you do business if you had 480 people in your database? Right? Could you do business with that? Let's see, did I do them? What are some ideas to talk to promote yourself without being put? We're going to get to that. All right. Let's do some of the questions at the end, unless there's something you don't understand about the thing, because I've got a plan. I've got a plan. All right. 2 people a day. 5 days a week. Some of this is based on, I don't know if you've read Atomic Habits by James Clear. My upline in EXP, my group, has a Facebook group for real estate called Atomic Habits. And one of the things that he talks about in the book, Atomic Habits, is that we might, sometimes it's effective to start small in terms of building habits, right? And he tells the story in the book about a guy that wanted to start working out. And so what he started doing was every day he would drive to the gym, walk in and then walk out and drive away. That's all he did. Drove to the gym, walked in and walked out. I could do that, right? And so the idea was pretty soon he had a habit of driving to the gym, and every day he had that habit. And once he had that habit, it became easier for him to, well, stay at the gym and pretty much stay at the gym longer. If you made it a habit to talk to 2 people a day, then pretty soon it would become easier for you to talk to 5 people a day, and then 10 people a day. You see where I'm going. 2 a day. That's all we need, right? That's all we ask. So who could be in your sphere of influence? I have a document which is in my document library for those people that are in my coaching, mentoring, whatever program. It's called 101 Ways to Lead Generate. And it's a much longer list, basically, of this. But everyone you know, this is the good news about real estate. Everybody you know and everyone you meet is a potential client, right? Because everyone you know or everyone you meet, either now or in the future, is likely to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. So one of the things you have to do is you have to meet people, right? You have to meet people. And your friends and your family and acquaintances and neighbors and people that work on your home and people, every list. In fact, I have 101 ways of meeting people. Anybody that you have rapport with, and rapport means anybody that might even recognize you and wave, right? Anybody that knows your name, right, that would talk to you could be part of this list. Okay. So an example of a plan. If your goal was to grow your 250, let's say you have 250, to 750 people in your database, and you want to add 2 a day, and you're going to do that, for 5 days a week times 12 months, that would be the beginning of it, right? You understand, you'd have a plan. And then we're going to categorize people into an A, B, or C, A plus, A, B, or C. We'll talk more about that. And then we're going to have a client appreciation system where we're reaching out and communicating with these people on a regular basis. So the power of the data, your business is your database. Have you ever been to a dentist? Right, and you're going to see the dentist, and one day you make an appointment and you show up at the dentist and there's a different dentist, right, standing there instead of the one that you're used to, and that new dentist has announced that they've taken over for the old dentist who's retired or something like that, and you keep going, right? There's still a reasonable dentist. So the new dentist bought the old dentist's business. And what did they really buy? The answer is they bought you, right? And all the other yous that are used to going there, they bought the database, right? They bought the client base. I know real estate agents that were very successful that when they retired, yes, you can actually do that. People keep telling me that. Yes, you can actually do that. And they sold their database. If you needed to raise money, how much would somebody lend you or purchase your database? How much would they pay? Right? That's a sad thought, right? It is the heart of your business, and it's the heartbeat of your business to contact your database on a regular, consistent basis. And once you've done that, you want to record contact information, right? You want to put in notes. We're going to talk about that. You're going to want to track your interactions so that you can remember what you said the last time you talked to them. And you're going to have marketing plans which you're going to assign them to. So these are the 4 laws. Number 1, you need to build it. Now, what that means is that you need to have a system, right? I'm with eXp Realty. We have a really good CRM. I'm going to show some examples of how you could use that. A CRM is a customer relationship management system, right? Which is allows you to communicate in bulk to people and to follow up with people. You need to feed it every day, right? Every day you should be looking on ways that you could add people to your database. You need to communicate with the database in a systematic way. And we're going to look at some of those systems and then wait for the leads to come, pouring in. So it's not just, when it comes to building the database, it's not just the business of servicing clients, it's the business of finding clients. And the size of your business and the amount of money you're going to make is going to be direct proportion to the size and the quality of your database. If you'd like to make more money, you need to have more conversations. And in addition to having more conversations, you're going to need more follow-up. So all of this is called a sales funnel. And we're later going to be talking about people you don't know, people that you haven't met, and how to add them in. But anybody who have customers and referrals and for marketing campaigns and events, whatever, that's what we call lead generation. Qualification means to figure out whether or not we can work with them. Sales qualification is to help them buy or sell something and then, eventually get paid. So feed it every day. This would be an example of a system. The goal would be to make 10 new contacts a day. Now, remember, I'm willing to take 2 if this is just too much, right? But this is just an example. And then you would enter 10 people into your database. Now, that's not always the same 10 people, right? Because somebody might not want to be in the database. Plus, there's ways in which you can find contact information for people, geographic farming and others that you could put into the database without actually having to talk to them. You should write 10 notes. Yes, I'm talking about handwritten notes. eXp through KV Core, through Inside Real Estate, which is the company behind it, has a affiliation with an organization that'll do it for you, right? Where they'll send handwritten notes, right? You can pay people to do it. You can do it yourself. Why do we send handwritten notes? Because it's it's something that people aren't used to getting anymore, right? Even before they weren't used to getting it. And you ought to be previewing homes, right? You ought to be previewing homes. The reason is it's going to give you something to talk about when you're talking to your database. So expanding your METS database. METS means these are people you've already met. If you've got past clients, you might want to talk to them. You could be people that you meet at church, people that you meet at open houses. We'll talk more about that. Geographic farm, internet leads, agent-to-agent referrals. I got one today, right? I have another one that I referred to somebody else. If you, at eXp, there's a lot of opportunities for getting referrals from other agents. There's for sale by owners and expired listings. Those are just some examples. Now, helping agents with their database, one of the things that I've found lacking in many real estate agents' databases is, well, there's a lack of data sometimes, right? There just isn't that much data. Now, you're going to want, this is a minimum, their name, a home address, a home phone number, email address. If they have a business card or some sort of a business profile, you might want to get that. But we want to get as much as we can. Do they have children, right? Are they into any particular types of social events? So, for example, this is what it's typical for real estate agents. When it's back to school time, the real estate agents will send everybody a back to school greeting or back to school something. They'll send it to people that don't have children or people that have children that are not in school. When there's Mother's Day, they send everybody a happy Mother's Day thing, which includes sending it to men and people that aren't mothers, because they never figured out who's a mother and who's got school-age children or who's a father. They just never figured it out, right? Because it takes a lot more work and you have to, collect all this data. Now, one of the advantages we have today is that through social media, you can find out a lot of those things just by connecting with people on social media and looking at what they post, right? But if, let's say, I know that you were interested in mountain biking, and it was your birthday, rather than just saying happy birthday, I could do something that was a mountain bike theme, right? Which at least then you would know that I was paying attention enough to know something about you and actually use that into my communication. Wouldn't that be better? Right? So you want to get more data than this, but that's the minimum. And we talked about, maybe it was a different group, Ford are the types of things you'd like to talk to people about: their family, their occupation, recreation, dreams or desires, motivations, that sort of thing. And what you're going to want to know, are they a potential buyer or seller? Buyers would also be investors. Do they have any urgency? Do they have a spouse, what their name is? I talk in other classes about personality profiles, birthdays, hobbies, children, that sort of thing. Now, I've got agents who divide, they have some clients, potential clients, that celebrate Hindu holidays, so they make a note of that. They have American holidays, there's Christian holidays, there's Jewish holidays, there's Muslim holidays. You understand, if you knew more about your client, you might be able to target it so that you were sending them things that might be relevant to them. Just as an idea. So you might want to organize the list. And one of the ways, how do you know the person? Did you meet them in church? Did you meet them at work? Was it a past work? Were they a dog walker that walks dogs where you walk dogs? You might want to highlight the people that you think are influential. Now, we're going to get to a point where we're going to be highlighting the people that we think are most likely to do business. You ought to know, of all the people that are in your database, who is most likely to buy, sell, or invest. Who is that person? And you ought to spend some time maybe communicating with them. And as your database grows, you're eventually going to want to have 20 or 25 people that you have that are ready to do something, right? And then, we might have people next month or the next month or next month. And we're going to categorize people A+. And A+ is somebody that we believe would refer business to us. They've tried to refer business to us. So they're the kind of person that if they were standing in line and they heard people talking about real estate, they might interrupt them and say, I know a really great real estate agent, and give your information to them. That's an A+. Now, we would treat those people differently than the other categories. So for example, if it's their birthday, rather than just typing in, on Facebook, happy birthday, right? We might actually send them a real birthday card. We might actually buy a real present. We might drop it off at their house. We might take them to lunch. We might invite them for coffee. All prospects are not equal. And A is somebody that we think if they were asked, they might not volunteer, but if somebody said, hey, do you know a real estate agent? They might give your name, right? Now, B's are people that you really don't know. I mean, you know them, you don't know how they really feel about what they recommend you really don't know, but you know them. And a C is somebody that's in they're in your cell phone, or they're in your Google contacts, or wherever your contacts are, and you're looking at the person's name and you're just like, gosh, I really don't remember where I met this person. Not really. If the police called you and said, we need you to come down and pick this guy out of a lineup, you'd have to say, hey, I'm sorry. I don't think I can do that because I really don't know the person. Now, the goal, I guess here's where I explain what the different ones are. Here's the goal, right? Advanced advocates are raving fans. Advocates who have sent business-friendly database. They like you, just names. So this is the goal, is to move people from a 3 to a 2 to a 1 to 1, to move them through. So for example, when I'm using the term database, I'm talking about advanced advocates, and friendly, not just names. Not just names. I seem to have an errant S there, but anyhow, not just names. Because the people that are just names, we're not really going to count them until they do something that makes us think that they're not just names. Right, so friendly people to advocates, and advocates to advanced advocates. Right, we want to move people up the ladder. And this is the ultimate goal, is for you to find 10 people that could refer 2 people a year to you, and another 30 that might refer 1 person a year to you. You understand? That's 50 potential clients from just the right 40 people. Now, you might have to talk to a lot of people to find those 40 people. But I'm just saying, right? It doesn't take a lot in order to get a significant return from this. And when you call somebody, notice the play on words here, the first thing is to check in. You have to show you care with genuine interest in their life. In other words, my suggestion, I mean, just think of it this way. You have a friend who goes to medical school, graduates from medical school, calls you up, you haven't talked to them in years, right? And they call you up and they say, hey, I just graduated from medical school. I got my medical license today. And you're like, oh, well, that's cool, wonderful, And then they say, well, so I just thought I'd give you a call and ask, how are you feeling? Have you been sickly, hurt yourself, anything like that? And you're like, no, I'm fine. Do you know anybody? Know anybody that's sick? Know anybody that's hurt? Well, if you ever see somebody sick or somebody that's hurt themselves, remember me. Right? You might think, well, that's kind of strange. But as real estate agents, we do this all the time. And some of you, if you're listening to the sound of my voice, I spent 7 years at Keller Williams. I was a productivity coach, and yeah, I've read The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. And there are a lot of great ideas. That book was written in 2004, right? I'm not that the approach that you get sometimes from traditional real estate training programs is to just go for the throat. You call people up and say, hi, this is a business call, right? That's what they teach you to say. I wouldn't go that route. I would reconnect with the people, ask them questions about what's going on in their life, ask with genuine interest, ask if you could be of any support or help or anything like that. Listen to their answer. It might not be real estate, right? Whatever is going on that they might need some help, or it may not be real estate. But by the way, if you're a real estate agent, should you know a plumber? Should you know a financial planner? Should you know a CPA? Should you know people that do remodeling, that move stuff? You should know all those people. Should you know loan agents and people you should know all these people. And so they might have some need where you could be a source for them. Your goal is to be the real estate source for even things that you don't particularly do. For example, they say, well, I'm not interested in selling my house. We're thinking of refinancing it. You should say, that's a great idea. I happen to know a couple of good lenders. They'll give you a really good deal. Would you like to know who they are? Would you like me to refer them to you? Now you might be thinking, well, am I going to get a referral fee? No, it's illegal. No, you're not going to get a referral fee for helping them refinance. But if you come from contribution and you help them, the chances are much greater that they might help you. And when they ask how things are going, you should be listing the positive things you've been experiencing in real estate, right? You should just say, hey, I've been in real estate. It's been going really good. I've met a whole bunch of nice people. I saw some great homes. I've got, I'm starting to get really busy, but you might mention that before, but don't just talk about real estate. Right, don't just talk about real estate. So you might actually have to get out and do stuff, right? The typical real estate agent wants to say, I'm an area specialist. I'm a local realty expert, right? Which would assume you're paying attention to what's going on in your real estate market so that, you might know when you talk about it. But you might want to become more active in your community. You might want to expand your presence on social media. We'll talk a bit about how to do that. And you might use advertising. You could set aside a day or two a month to attend a community or charity event. Start engaging on social media, send out mailers. And you want to do something where it's easy for you to do. So if you're an outgoing type that likes to network with people and meet people, then you might want to look for networking events. If you like dogs, a lot of other people do too. And they are dog walkers, and there's dog walking groups. If you like to hike, there's hiking groups. One of the things that I believe for most normal people is that you need to establish a way of generating business that you're comfortable with, preferably something that you even enjoy doing. And now I've known real estate agents. I knew an agent that was into quilting, and she would pick up clients from quilting. I knew one that was into running marathons and would pick up clients that she would meet at marathons. You understand, these were things they would have done anyhow, right? And if you're getting business from doing things you already like to do, that makes it a lot easier, right? It's a sustainable system. You might need to have an easy, agile system for following up. We use something called KV Core, but once you start adding people into your database, it starts to become a little bit more complicated. And I was recruiting somebody, an experienced agent, and I remember she asked me, because I was going to help her, build her business and that sort of stuff. And she said, yeah, well, give me one suggestion that I could implement that would increase my business. Just give me one, right? And I said, all right, go through your database, pick out the top 50 people that you think are an A+ or an A, people that you know, go to lunch with one of them every week and do it for 50 weeks. And she was nodding and she said, yeah, that would probably work. It would probably work. So one of the metrics you ought to have is coffee dates, right? I know this sounds insane for me to say, but some of you, frankly, you're just not drinking enough coffee, right? I know, that just sounds crazy, right? But you ought to be having coffee dates with people, lunch dates occasionally, I'm just saying, right? So communication in a systematic way. Systemization, easy for me to say. It's consistent, predefined, repeatable, and automatic, right? We want to organize this so that it makes it easier for us to do it. Things that you could send are market updates, community information, videos, you or lenders or other vendors with discounts. Now, if those of you that are in my system, and by the way, I'm going to be going through all this over the next few weeks, months, and whatever, but you ought to have relationships with vendors. Do you have vendors that would give a coupon to your database, give a discount, something like that? If they were to remodel or something, right? They might already be offering things like that. Homeowner questions and answers for buyers and sellers. Estate planning, those are just a few examples. So consistency plus engagement will help you on social media. You ought to set aside an hour every day to engage with your sphere of influence on social media. Now, I understand for some of you, an hour a day engaging with people you know on social media is cutting back, right? I get that. But I'm talking about doing this a little bit more strategically. So rather than going past updates from your sphere, take a second to like or comment. You don't have to post stuff. You like, you share, you comment on things other people have posted. They posted a picture of the sushi lunch they had, right? And you're even, you're like, oh, yeah, say something nice. Did you have the dragon roll? Ask them something. And if they interact with you, the algorithms that decide who gets to see whose posts are going to start showing each of you more of each other's posts. Share your reasons for becoming a real estate agent. What do you like? How'd you get into it? What are the biggest non-monetary challenges and rewards? People like to hear personal stories. And if you show up on social media consistently, sometimes just being there and being open is enough. Because when somebody is asked, a good real estate agent or a real estate agent, you have to come up first, preferably in their mind, or your name may not be mentioned. So I have some specific tips at Facebook you can create a friends list. So when you look, I mean, I know you got a lot of friends, right? I saw this cartoon. There was a funeral, right? And there's only like 2 or 3 people added, and one of them was saying, "Gee, I'd expected a bigger turnout." He had 3,000 friends on Facebook. So I realized, like, I have almost 5, right? I have to keep, I have almost 5,000. But where I'm going with this is that not everybody that we are friends with on Facebook, we're really friends with, or fall into our category of an A plus A or B, or, So what we might want to do is to go through all of our Facebook friends and decide who are likely to be somebody that would work with us, and we can create a list. If you don't know how to create, we're going to be doing sessions on all of the specifics, but if you don't know how to create a Facebook friends list, why don't you Google search Facebook friends list? And what that allows you to do when you log into Facebook is you click on that list, and then you'll see all of the posts from the people on your list who you like, share, and comment. Right? LinkedIn, try posting an article a week on a broad real estate topic. If that's too much, just a status update, right? You're showing a house, you're at an open house, you're doing something. Instagram, there's a suggestion about you can do a business profile, and then they give you analytics, and you also can allow people to find your contact information and that sort of thing. Twitter is better at local content, local hashtags, right? Things that are happening in your community. Always use an image if you can. TikTok, if you like making videos, obviously I'm very shy and afraid of it, but making a bunch of little videos about things that you're doing or haven't done or about to do, post them on TikTok, right? If you, of course, you have a YouTube account, don't you? Right? Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Pinterest, right? Pinterest is where you can pin pictures of a variety of different things. They might fall into categories that people are searching for: remodeling ideas, right? Landscaping ideas, things that involve what people would do with houses. If you Google search that, you're going to find a lot of them already, a lot of boards you could borrow the ideas from. There's also Snapchat. And there's also, I use WhatsApp, and there's WeChat, and there are more. This is not an exhaustive list. I know Snapchat is kind of old. There's some people that still use it. That's what I'm saying. So this is an example of a plan. Now, my idea, there are many varieties of this, but one agent that I know, on the 15th of every month, they send a postcard. 7th of every month, they send a video email. Now, in KV Core, which is the system that we use, we have a light bomb version, right? It's built in. I guess it's only bomb, not bomb. But bomb, if you're not familiar, is a way of sending a video embedded into an email. And you can do that once a month on KV Core without spending any extra money. And then on the 21st, send an email, and once a quarter call people. As a general rule, you should be doing 2 contacts a month. It could be email, they could be regular mail and email, 2 contacts a month. One would be about what's going on in the market, and the other one is probably a holiday of some sort. And every 90 days, there ought to be a phone call, a meeting in person, something like that. So how do you get more of these people? Well, first of all, import all the contacts you have. Right? Go through your Gmail account, go through your LinkedIn, Outlook, right? I guess people still use Outlook. I run across people that are using Outlook. I'm old, and it amazes me. This is the old line: you're going to have to pry Outlook from my cold, dead hands. But anyhow, get everything you've got, right? Google, Yahoo, Outlook, LinkedIn, Facebook. And the idea is we want to get as many of those people out. Now, we call it a smart CRM, but the idea is to get those out, and every quarter, you might want to create a task for yourself where every quarter, at least, you're going to look into your different social media, look into your databases, and see if you can, is there anybody new, right? Because we want to get them into a database where we can follow up. You should use status and hashtags. Hashtags would allow you to filter. So let's say I know people that are into golfing, right? They like golfing. Now that could be useful to me because it would be more effective if I sent golfers golfing related content. So I could create a hashtag golfing. And if I had something that was golf oriented, right? Something that was going on, if there was a sale, a discount, something, right? I could email those people or text them easily because I created the hashtag. If I had dog walkers, if I had people with children, if I had people with children in school or people that you get the idea, right? And then you could filter for those particular niches. Now, adding contacts, this is based upon our program called KV Core. If you're not with EXP and you don't have access to KV Core, well, I feel bad for you. I really do, right? And if you'd like to find out how you could get that provided by the company inexpensively, reach out to me. But your Gmail contacts should be added, your MLS prospects. Do you have any searches going on in your MLS? Get them out and import them into your customer relationship management system. Outlook, iPhone, all of them, we want to get them into one place. All right, the basics of lead generation. First of all, are you doing open houses? If not, you ought to be doing open houses. Well, there's not enough open houses on the weekend, right? You know, I ask agents if they're in Saturday and they say no, they're doing it or they've already got somebody. You could do 5 open houses a week. I know that wasn't a mistake. You know, he meant 5 a month, right? 5 a week. Where does it say the open house has to be on the weekend? If I have a vacant listing, and I'm going to have one soon, right? Which means I'm going to be bombarded with agents. I'm going to have one soon. And if I have a vacant listing and I'm the listing agent, do I care if you do an open house on a Monday at noon or a Friday evening? I'm not interested, right? So let's say you're doing open houses. KV Core has an open house app. Now, what that means is when people come in, you have them log in using the app. That app automatically puts them into the database. You've created a hashtag that this is somebody that's attended an open house. When you do that, automatically it triggers an open house campaign. And we don't send them something immediately because it looks like it's automated, but after 5 minutes or so, it'll send them a text message that says, great meeting you today at the open house, you know, whatever, right? We have samples. Right? And you ought to get all that set up in advance when you do the open house. And then and by the way, I have a Chromebook that I usually take, which people can actually put in their information. I find that this works way better than a handwritten registration form, right? We'll be talking about open houses. Leveraging listings. You ought to create a lead generation landing page, right, with the right images or evaluation page. Now, what I'm going to do, for just because, you know, there's only too many slides we can do. I'll give you an example. So let's say you don't have any listings, right? But I'm going to look at, here's a listing on Shade Tree Lane, looks very nice. It's a EXP listing, right? It looks nice. Over here is a link. Now you can see this over on the right, and there's a little copy. And if I copy that link and I paste it in, oops, it's going to pull it up on my website, my KV Core website. Next Tuesday, I'm going to explain how to trick out your KV Core website. You see, notice my name, download my app. Yeah, we have an app for people to search for properties. It's find your home's value. So if I took that and I were to go to, I was just tweeting, what I just tweeted was that EXP added 30,000 agents. Did you know that last year? And let me just see, is this, come on. Now, it knows I'm doing things. I'm going to discard. Let me try Facebook, a little bit easier. I don't want you to see all the stuff that I just posted. Let me go back. And I also posted that. So let's say I pop that in. And once I've done this, by the way, and I just type that in, great new listing, Michael Devlin, and I click post. Right there, right in front of you, right? Now, you might be thinking, well, that's not your listing, right? Is it, Mike? No, but it belongs to EXP. It's one of our company listings. And notice how easy that was. I just went to company listings. I found one that looked nice. I took the link and I posted it. Now, I also, and we're going to be covering this in my series on using EXP and KV Core, but you can also build what's called a landing page or a squeeze page. A squeeze page would be something that has all the open houses that are coming up this weekend. Look at all the open houses that are coming up this weekend, and you can post that, right? So if your sphere of influence sees you posting things about properties that are on the market, that sort of thing, they're going to say, hey, she is really doing it. They're in real estate, right? And they'll think that that's, maybe they'll see that you're doing business. One of the agents that I was coaching, one of my suggestions is, and by the way, if you don't have KV Core, does your company at least give you a website, right? And does your website have listings on it? And does your website with listings on it have a share button? Right, this is really the easy way of doing it, right? If your website has a share button, and a share button would mean share it to Facebook, to LinkedIn, to whatever. Notice over here, share on Twitter, share on Facebook, share on Pinterest, right? And so if I do that, I can just tweet it, right? If you could at least do that on a regular basis, you might get leads. You might get leads. Loving all of this, especially tops for those that don't have current listings but are EXP. The listings belong to the broker. Now, I've read, because I don't have a social life, EXP's policies and procedures, both for the state of California and national. Right? And one of the things that you're going to notice if you do this is that nowhere does it say that you're limited when it comes to marketing office listings. If you were to ask the multiple listing service, hey, I'm a salesperson with EXP, can I market EXP listings? They're going to say, well, of course you can. They belong to your broker. The Department of Real Estate for California believes you ought to be marketing your broker's listings because the listings belong to the broker, and the broker has a fiduciary duty to the seller to do the best they can to sell the property, which would include your helping. If you ask the listing agent, hey, is it okay for me to market your listing? They might say no because they are small-minded. And if you go to the broker room and you say, should I get the listing agent's permission? They would say that would be a good idea. My suggestion is just do it. It's my suggestion, right? But it's up to you. But you might want to create pages where let me do this. We call them a squeeze page. It's called that because it's designed to get people to give you their information. Find out what your home is worth instantly. We have a bunch of them, down payment assistance programs. Sometimes I will take the most expensive home that's in our MLS and post it, right? And I always say something like, great for the first time home buyer, that sort of thing, 18 million, and people look at it, it's like, this is the most expensive home right now. Sometimes I'll post the least expensive home that's in the multiple listing service. And by the way, now I'm not necessarily talking about EXP listing, right? Because if you use your web page, right, the IDX Internet Data Exchange compliant web page that you get, posting things from that is not a violation of the rules because the website that you're sending people to is compliant. You could say, well, the median price in Morgan Hill, which is where I am, is this. what would that buy you? Here's some examples of homes that are at the median price. You get an idea, right? And if you just start posting this kind of stuff, people will say, hey, they're in real estate. Isn't that amazing? 10 ways to reach your sphere. I'm going to be doing a series on KV Core. I've included way too much information in today's, including some screenshots and things like that, where we're auto creating tasks, right? And where I'm going with this is that, and I've done a bunch of screenshots, but how you can, I'll just do this why not? While I'm here. And next Tuesday, we're going to be doing how to get your website. This is some slides that I borrowed from Sylvia Dana, who does a lot of great classes. I'm just borrowing them. But if you go into your KV Core, into your profile, and you go to settings, and there are certain, you get reminded every day of who you're supposed to call. And the default does not include sphere of influence, but prospects and leads and active leads and things like that. But you could add your sphere of influence so that you're calling people every 90 days is something that you can actually put into the system, right? And I explain how to do that, well, and that these tasks will appear. And by the way, it's possible for you to synchronize KV Core with your Gmail account, your Gmail calendar, where tasks that you put in KV Core show up on your Google Tasks and show up in your Google Calendar, and the two can synchronize. I'm going to show people how to do all that coming up. There's also a campaign called a Sphere of Influence campaign. And the way you would get it is you'd go to the marketing autopilot, you'd click on start a campaign, and there's two things. There's the library, and then there's your library, and your library are things that you've either created yourself or that you've copied from the KV Core library, and you're going to want to go to where you're going to add something to your library, and there's a default homeowner sphere. Now, I'm going to show you that what I like to do is to create, and I think I have slides for this, a birthday reminder for everybody that's in my database, right, for my sphere of influence, a campaign which includes texts and emails and phone calls, which you could modify, you could add and change some of the things, and also a holiday campaign. So what that would mean is we look at when the holidays are for the rest of 2022, as far out as we want, and we start now collecting images, and we decide when we're going to send out a 4th of July greeting, when we're going to send out, any kind of holidays, and to what group we're going to send them. And then that can all be planned in advance. All of those emails could be prepared in advance, and that campaign could be launched so that when those holidays come up, it just automatically sends it out, right? And you can edit it, right? The campaign goes on for 2.5 years. It's got 18 touches, right? You can edit, you can add, you can make changes, right? And we're going to go through how to do that. I know I've included a lot of slides, but you can create a task, and you can create a template, and you can modify the templates, and you can update the templates so that you're sending out things. Now, like, for example, this task is to create a market report. So what that would mean is, let's say let me find somebody in my KV Core, right? So I'm going to go to my CRM, and I'm going to, you can see I have a few people. I'm going to pick on me, right? And you'll notice, by the way, once I've done this, so I would have a hashtag that is sphere of influence. Notice I could send a mass email, a mass text, and you can send text to 250 people at a time, and a video message, right? There's some other actions that I could take, but let's say, well, there's more than one Devlin. Sometimes it's people's first names. But here's some things, and I've done this before. I was just fooling around, but over here on more actions, one of the things I could do is update and send evaluation. And if I do that, what it's going to do is it's going to allow me to create, and I've already done this, which is why it just it didn't look like anything. But if, to show you what it looks like, is it, if let's say you know that the person lives in the Cambrian area of San Jose, right? This one is second tomatoes, but let's say, I don't know why I was doing that, but let's say Cambrian. Now there's more than one Cambrian area, but let's say, and I do have a client, by the way, who lives in 95124. So this is an automated market report for 95124. I can set this up, and if I include that in that person's contact every month, they're going to get automated a market report. Remember, 2 a month. One would be what's going on in the market. The other would be what's going on in holidays. So we would plan out all the holidays, get all of the emails ready, and just send it out. It's one of the cool things about KV Core. You can, and so one of the, when you add somebody into your sphere of influence, one of the tasks that you would assign yourself is set up a market report, right? So that you could send it. Now there's campaigns, and this is just stuff about how to modify it. I overdid it, I realize that. But I've included some information about setting up market reports, and we're going to be walking through this, setting up search alerts. So if the person actually has an interest in looking at homes or something like that, we would want to set up a search alert. My suggestion is I usually, once somebody is really serious, right, and as opposed to just looking, I always set them up in the MLS. Now the reason is that all IDX compliant systems like KV Core only have the listings in your MLS, and I'm in an area where there's other MLSs, right, in Northern California, and a lot of times those agents, right, in Sacramento get a listing in San Jose, and instead of referring it to me, right, which is what they ought to do, they go ahead and list it themselves, but they put it in Metro List, which is their MLS. They don't put it in MLS listings, which is my MLS, which means that if I set up a search alert in KV Core, it won't include listings that are not in my MLS. But if I set that up in the MLS, then it'll include everything that's in the Alliance, which is a lot better. I'm going to be talking tomorrow, I think, about servicing buyers and how to, we'll be talking about all that sort of stuff, right? And I'm not going to go through all of the slides, but in my sessions that I'm going to do on how to implement KV Core, I'm going to cover, we're going to set up, and I encourage everybody to have their computer and be logged in, so that when we go through and set up the holiday events and things like that, we can all do it together, right? And you can get it into your system. But how to send out a mass email, how to send out a mass text, right? Those are all, and I basically just provided some screenshots on how to do that. Well, that's what I've got. Keep in mind those numbers, right? And the numbers are 57% of first-time home buyers found their agent because the person was either a friend, family, or coworker, or was referred by one. Right? There's a lot of money in this. And by the way, people that come from your sphere of influence, you don't have to, this does not cost a lot, right? This is not getting new leads. We're going to talk about how to get new leads, but you want to start with the people you already know and talk to them because, well, you know them, right? You know them. All right. I hope you found that to be, useful, interesting. If not, lie to me. I need, I need it. All right. And by the way, I coach, train, mentor real estate agents, and I have a production team. If you're wondering how could I get more help, I wish somebody was like you was helping me generate business and run my business, then reach out to me and I'd love to talk to you. Yes, and by the way, this will probably be on my YouTube channel for those of you that want a copy of it. Just send me $5 and you can watch it as often as you like. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day. Stay safe out there. Bye now.